I'm Nick Roush. That's Adam Luckett. And this is 11 Personnel presented by Monticello Bank. They've been banking with the Commonwealth since 1895, taking care of you. Luckett's got his Monticello Bank Cup. I've got my Monticello Bank Cup. We love Monticello Bank. Monticello Bank loves you. They've been in business since 1895 because that's where people matter at Monticello Bank. It's a great time to buy a home. It's a great place to look for a mortgage. Get a great rate with Monticello Bank. They've got locations everywhere. And if there's not one near you, there's one conveniently located online at mbcbank.com. Monticello Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender, proud presenting sponsors of 11 Personnel. The crew has had a fun bedtime routine tonight, and it's about like taking a shot of adrenaline before you get on the podcast when you're just dealing with a bunch of crying kids. So, Luckett, if you can articulate your thoughts, it'll be much better than just so can't get much harder than that.
Well, we're a little ways from my bedtime, so I should be able to do that tonight without much issue. But you get me when I start dozing off. It's a little bit of gibberish could come out. That's for sure.
Yeah. And hopefully we don't get any gibberish tonight. Just fun, hot takes. We've got kickoff times around the SEC, which I'm excited. I didn't think I would be excited to discuss until one athletic director started flapping his gums, so we'll get to that. But really,
what were the odds? What were the odds? You put all these SEC ADs in a bucket. Which one of these guys is going to come out and be the complainer? Minus 250, Hunter Yurachek would have been with the pods I placed on that or something around that. That would top of the list. So not surprised to see that.
Yeah. What Hunter Yurachek, what a gem. I'm sure those meetings tomorrow in Destin that won't be brought up at all. But let's get to the SEC spring meetings in Destin as sort of the table setter for our conversation today. We did not make the trip to the Emerald Coast of Florida on the Panhandle, but a lot of people did, a lot of bigwigs around the league. And I love that right off the jump, Greg Sankey's like, we're not here to talk about playoff expansion. It's like, okay, Greg, really? That's not going to work. He tried, Luckett. He tried, but it inevitably came up in conversation.
Yeah, I haven't been as locked in on this event like I usually am. Just start from the top with a little thing called the NCAA baseball tournament I've been covering. So that's been taking up most of my attention. But just from kind of diving in and out of this and trying to read up on it and what he's saying, Nick, I personally think Sankey's under some heat right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think inside those buildings are I don't think a lot of people are super happy with just the SEC state, right? He had a little intense back and forth, I think, about the Big Ten. He was asked, about them falling behind the Big Ten. And basically the basis of that is just the playoff, right? Yeah. They're on 4 in the playoff. Indiana beat the brakes off Alabama. I'm sure I'm missing some other ones where they've gotten kind of just – it's gone away from them. Texas, Ohio State, that comes to mind 2 years ago, but that was a close game.
Right.
Until Jack Sawyer it starts rumbling there at the end. So yeah, I think that is a big issue. I think there's a lot of heat on him. And Eli Drinkowitz was on Feinbaum. Basically, their thought was, if we go to 9 games, we're going to 16, because 16 was the talk last year. Now 16 is not on the table. It feels like Sankey's not controlling the situation, and I think there's some frustration, and that's starting, I think, to boil over into the public. And Georgia's president was outspoken on Feinbaum this week, saying it's anarchy. We're in a worse place than we were last year. SEC, we've signed this participation sheet so the CSC can enforce rules. Why isn't everyone else signing this? And it's just been and we've heard more ADs, I think, speak out against what Sankey's doing. They're going the other direction. So it's an interesting time for a guy who just a year ago we considered the most powerful individual in college athletics.
Now, to your point, it wasn't just Drinkwitz. I believe it was maybe not Kirby Smart, maybe it was the Georgia AD. I forget who exactly. There's so many people talking, but the quote was, "We were misled," right? Basically, it was, "We will go to 9 games," and they're even kind of ticked about the 10th Power Conference game. They're like, "We were going to do this with the promise for more playoff participation." I did appreciate Mike Elko standing up and saying, like, "You're asking me, like, yes, of course, like." I don't know if it's good for the sport.
There's some hot dog meme with that. Like,
yeah.
There's a little bit of hot dog meme with that. I just like you just gotta Elko. Like,
but he is correct in that, like,
get it now. The overall,
all of these coaches are acting out of self-interest when they say they want more access to the playoff. Will Stein, he came out and said he's for expansion as well, and I think some of that is out of his own self-interest about where he's at now. He's well aware of the challenges that Kentucky faces, but if there's more opportunity, then it's certainly an option. He's a guy who's been in 2 playoffs, but I think that was the first time. It's just weird hearing like a coach actually stand on something instead of whatever Mark Stoops used to do when it would come to the big picture issues. So that I at least enjoyed. Like, Will Stein is at least willing to put his kind of speak his piece on that. But back to your original point, it's not just the outside noise, it's the people within are irritated, because I think the argument that the SEC makes against the Big Ten is correct. The bottom is more challenging, right? Like, Mississippi State and Kentucky are much better than Northwestern, Rutgers, name the bottom feeders of the Big Ten, right? Like, that are regularly there. So it is more difficult, but it doesn't feel like they're getting rewarded for that. And that goes back to what I was ribbing with you a week ago or 2 weeks ago or whatever it was. Like, Vandy went to 10-2 and didn't make a playoff. I mean, that I think that is sticking in their craw, and that is where like all of these things are sort of bubbling together, and Sankey is facing some fire. And the other part too, I think he would be willing if they were talking 16, but since it's 24 and it's everybody, I think he's sort of digging his heels in more because everybody else is telling him that he needs to do this when he is normally the guy that's driving the conversation. Now everybody else is pushing him to get on board, and he just don't want to do it.
Yeah, and it's also important to point out it's 1 versus 1. Like, there's 2 people.
Yeah.
That determine what they're going to do. They signed all the conference commissioners in that playoff signed a memorandum of understanding, basically, that turned over autonomy to Tony Petitti and Greg Sankey. If someone would place them.
Kind of crazy.
It's a 2-person vote. Like, at the end of the day, we're doing all this kind of. There's a lot of grandstanding, I feel like, going on, but it's a 2-person vote. The one thing I'll just point out is that the Big Ten, there is alignment, and they're all in on Petitti's plan. It's really been like that, I think, for a year now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even when he was pitching the
playing games and all that.
Yeah, but there's been a lot. That's how the SEC used to be to me. Now it's just more a mess.
Yeah. They're not all pulling on the same rope.
You're seeing some of the dirty laundry, like Pete Golding gets on the stand today and it's like, come at me. I'll burn everyone down. He said 15 teams. How many other teams are in the SEC outside Ole Miss? That's exactly where my mind went. He's like, you come at me, I'm bringing all of you SOBs down with me. And then just the weird stuff with Sark, like him getting into it with Ole Miss when really he had this is like a Lane Kiffin Ole Miss fight. What are you doing, Sark? Like, why are you throwing Ole Miss in here? And then, all the Kiffin stuff, which is, we could write a book on that. And so it's just an interesting time, an interesting year for the league. There's a lot of, I think, frustration, and the house is kind of out of order, and they've got to get it back in order. And the best way to do that was probably for them to start winning games and winning these big time matchups again. That would be a good step in the right direction.
The other and to your point about just the grandstanding, there is this is a real marketplace of ideas that's happening right now, and I think the part that is got to be kind of unsettling if you're a college football fan is just how sort of all over the place it is. We're like Kirby Smart, Kirby chooses his words carefully, and he has an all shucks sort of way about him, the way he delivers it. But a lot of times, like when he talks about playoff, he's like, just give me a playoff, we'll go play it, right? Like he doesn't speak out a lot, but I mean, this notion. So essentially, the College Sports Commission is holding up these multimedia rights deals. Your JMIs, your Payflies, all these NIL deals, they aren't clearing them just like that. There was a big arbitration case with Nebraska where they basically said, you can't put in these deals in mass. They got to be smaller, and then maybe we'll approve them. It's right. It's pissing off the Big Ten and the SEC because they got the most money. And it's pissing off Kirby Smart enough to where he even said, hey, if we got to I don't want to sink all the other sports. If we got to break off and do our own thing, then let's do our own thing. And even Sankey sort of entertained that idea, which I guess that's my question to you, Luckett. We'll get to what Congress is potentially doing now. That's another part of this equation. But just the thought that Sankey and Kirby Smart, the dean of the SEC, would bring this up as an option seemed ludicrous to me when Sankey and Petitti can't even agree on the postseason format. Like they seem at odds at every turn, but now they're so fed up that they're almost willing to go that route. It's wild to me. Do you think that is plausible, or is that just more grandstanding in this grand scheme of things?
I think we need to look at this logically. Like, what is going to stop these SEC schools from bending the rules? It's just the SEC enforcing it. Like
never
really,
stopped before.
To me, I think some of the issue is it makes sense when you think about just how much money these SEC and Big Ten schools in these salary caps or these roster prices are increasing. Like, can't they just bump up the salary cap? Like, increase the rev share amount so they don't have to, because the money is kind of coming from the same place with this NIL stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like JMI and UK they're in the same pot. They have joint checking accounts, right? So when they're paying the milkman, it's coming out of the same pot. So like here, like why do we have to, if we have more, can't we just spend more? I think that's ultimately what the SEC and Big Ten would like. Just give us a bigger rev share pot so we don't have to do this song and dance, specifically with the MMRs. But yeah, to your point, they're holding up a lot of deals. And then what's going to be interesting is seeing, like, in the past, Nick, we would hear like whispers. Oh, checks aren't coming through. Something to watch.
Yeah.
So what happens in this? Because now the university is really involved. It's not just outside, like just the collective check.
Exactly.
The university involved too. So, but yeah, I mean, that was how, like, they're not going to pay it now. But Brennan Sorsby, that's how, like, Texas Tech was going to pay him all this money, I believe.
Yeah.
He was only getting a small percentage from the rev share amount. And then he was going to get, and the rest from NIL. And then I believe Tyron Stokes, I think that was what Matt reported. He said, he wanted all his money from the rev share because he didn't want to have anything to do with NIL, which is honestly kind of smart because that's the one way to guarantee it, really.
That's true. Yeah. Here's my sort of galaxy brain thought behind all of this. I think part of the reason, we know why they want an expanded playoff. It's generating more revenue. Everybody needs more money. That's the easiest way to get it, is to get playoff money. But I think part of the reason why Sankey, he even admitted sort of a hesitancy to rush into making these sweeping changes right away. It's because like we're in a transitional period, and part of that transitional period is what they've been beating that drum over for maybe not a decade. I think it's about 7 years of lobbying Congress to get something done. And the bill that has been highly anticipated since the SCORE Act kind of got shut down, is it Cruz Cartman? What's the other senator that's attached to it? I don't know. But this new bill that they put out there today.
Ted Cruz and female senator for what? Maria Cantwell.
Cantwell, not Cartman. Although it'd be
not
funny.
Not Cantwell, Maria Cantwell.
So the Cruz Cantwell bill is it's different in the SCORE Act in a couple of ways, but essentially it did a lot of the things that the SCORE Act wanted to do, but in a much more limited scope. Like it isn't completely ruling out collective bargaining, but it gives them a somewhat of an antitrust exemption to continue operating.
Correct.
There's the one-time transfer portal rule that they want. There is a salary cap component involved. There's the Lane Kiffin part that we can get into. That's also the Lane Kiffin rule, basically no tampering with coaches midseason. But to me, the biggest part in all of this is what he was fighting against with the SCORE Act, which is pooling media rights. And that's something that, like, that's where their bread is buttered, right? I thought it was remarkable that Sankey essentially said that the ESPN deal is undervalued because now the Big Ten's making more money, but the SEC gets more viewership. So he was kind of arguing that today. But correct me if I'm wrong, Luckett. Maybe you can explain this better. But essentially, the bill would allow everybody else to pool their TV rights without taking from the Big Ten and SEC. Was that what I was reading?
Right. Yes. Or they could go to the Big Ten and SEC and do like a split type thing, where we'll pull our rights together. YouTube behemoths can have 70% and we'll take 30%. I'm not saying they would do that, but that's
right.
That would be something they could do. But yes, the Big Ten and the SEC have been adamant against that.
Generally speaking, this seems like the first time that there has been something that a lot of people agree on. Now, my caveat in all of this, we're obliged to discuss this at length. I'm hesitant that anything will ever get done in Congress because it's Congress. Like, it's just prove me wrong, legislators, do something. So that from the jump there's some hesitancy there, but these are senators from different sides of the aisle. They say it's got bipartisan support, yada, yada. But, things can get held up at the last minute. I mean, you saw the Congressional Black Caucus basically put their foot down to stop the SCORE Act from even getting a vote last week. So, just from the jump, I mean, it might be a non-starter because they can't do anything. But let's hear them out for a minute. My galaxy brain thought was that Sankey wants to see this through to see if it is a more long-term solution than the sort of smacking on the bottom Flex Seal deal that they tried with the House settlement. Because the House settlement, clearly, it's like the Articles of Confederation. Like, this thing ain't here to stay. They got to find something new. And I think some of Sankey's hesitancy is seeing if this can be a plausible option to move forward. Like, do you disagree, agree? And do you think this actually could be like a plausible big picture format moving forward for college athletics?
Yeah, I think the House settlement I think it had a lot of good stuff in it. But it was going to take participation. Basically, schools had to sign away their rights so the CSC could do this.
And like the Articles of Confederation, states' rights, man, they weren't willing to behold to a federal government.
And the lawyer's like, hey, now, hold
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Hold on just a minute here. Let's before that and that's just they're not going to do it. So like yeah, so if you couldn't get that, they're not going to do it. So there was obviously holes in it. I think this one you read, Nick, it's got its best chance to pass, but there's some loopholes or not loopholes. There's some obstacles they have to get by, some hurdles they have to jump.
Mm-hmm.
And midterm elections are coming up. So
yeah, right. That can just completely flip.
If it doesn't happen fast, who knows what it will look like after the elections. So yeah, I mean, like we've said, I feel like from the beginning, like they just got to figure it out themselves. Like going to Congress is silly. So they've got to figure it out another way, but they didn't. And so we're riding this wave, and it's got us to this point where Indiana's winning the football national championship. The Big Ten ended their however long
drought
basketball.
Yeah.
Heck, they could win a baseball title probably for the first time in forever this year with UCLA. UCLA's the number one team.
Traditional Big Ten powerhouse UCLA.
Yeah, I mean, so like even like something like women's basketball, UCLA won the women's basketball title this year. First ever one. Indiana wins their first ever football title. Michigan, their second, first in nearly 40 years.
Yeah.
So it's just we're in a different time, but it wasn't that far where, Florida won the basketball. South Carolina, I believe, won women's basketball.
Right,
and LSU won baseball last year. So it's not like, and I believe Oklahoma won softball last year. So
it's a little reactionary, and a lot of it comes down to football and the sort of playoff boogeyman.
There was some of this is post Saban, like to me.
Yeah.
Like if he was the Grim Reaper was still over there, like, would the Big Ten still have these titles?
Right.
I don't know. I think that game against Indiana looks a lot different.
That's you're damn right about that.
But
to go back to
that would change, but I do think like this was always coming for the SEC, no matter what the format or status of college athletics was. Once Saban left, like he was the ring collector for the league in a lot of ways. So like, of course, like their dominance is not gonna be there. But the SEC's been here before in football where they've had droughts like this. Like you go to late 90s, early 2000s, when USC was dominating, when Vince Young and them ripped one off. Florida State was in there. That's when Oklahoma, they had
Miami
one in that
hot.
run. Yep. Miami. Like they've had runs like this in like the modern era, when not that far ago or long ago. So they'll probably get out of it eventually, but it's where they are right now.
The part in all of this is that it does feel like the thing I like about it, it reminds me of going to an old sort of fraternity meeting where in the frat house, it's a democracy, but nothing gets done unless there's sort of a dictator that actually does things, right? Because you kind of sit around and let's do this, let's have this party, or
like ask forgiveness later type of
like, because it sounds like right now everybody's stepping up to the microphone and shouting stuff out. I think that there is consensus about big picture changes that people want to see. John Summerall had a great quote where he's turning into Mr. Quotable. He said, the NFL does this weird thing where they play their season, they go to their playoff, they have a champion, then they hire coaches, and then they get new players. It's like it's crazy. He said, what we're doing now is like mixing tequila, bourbon, and beer, which, you know what, that's a lot more fun than what we're dealing with right now. And so I think at least that bill, it addresses a lot of the huge things that people are kind of fed up with. One-time transfer portal seemingly eliminates the year-to-year free agency.
And the no pros with what we've gone through in basketball.
Yeah, like Will Wade is just like fuming when he saw this bill come up. But it recreates a structure that has essentially been torn down. The NCAA has no teeth whatsoever over the last couple of years, clearly. And that's not like, I think it's even wilder to just, I know we say there's no rules, but it is crazy to just like step back and remember when Pete Thamel was down in Alabama looking up Eric Bledsoe's transcripts. Like, they ruled with an iron fist and they were very inflexible. And we are now at a point where Brendan Sorsby gambled like the most you don't know degenerates as degenerate as Brendan Sorsby. And their ass is going to find a lawyer and a judge to get him to still play football. He has no business playing football. Like, it's pretty cut and dry. Pete Rose was held out of the Hall of Fame for how many years, Luckett? Until he died? Like, and now we're at the point where people, like, Feinbaum's like, this is double two-face from the NCAA. Like, we are living in banana land. And so I do think that this bill in Congress, like, does recreate a structure that people can operate under, like, some normalcy. I just find it hilarious that there is a Lane Kiffin rule because of how crazy it got last year. And they didn't explicitly call it that. But, boy, it's just so funny to, like if this passes, like, how are we going to explain to people, like our kids, the Lane Kiffin saga between Ole Miss and LSU?
You know what's interesting about that is just kind of the infomercial he got while he was at Ole Miss. Just like it was basically Bobby Petrino golfs with his daughter on steroids. Right? I mean, wasn't it like it was just everyone's just like, oh, and then everyone like falls in love with him. Like, oh.
They did a whole E60 on it, Luckett, where it was like Lane Kiffin's turn to page. He's not the same old guy. And people ate it up.
Yeah, people just loved it. And now all of that has just been burned to the ground. Like, he's back to being the villain again. And it's back to him because at Ole Miss, he was kind of just like, like, well, the media day, first media day I went to, he's talking about, fourth down, going forward on fourth down. It's like, or joking about Urban Meyer, like, it's kind of like jokingly, but before it was more serious stuff, like with his Urban spat and all of that, where he was like a really thorn in the side, I think, of like the leadership in the conference office when he was at Tennessee just the 1 year. Where now it's getting back to more of that, like he's getting. Mm-hmm. He's Lane. He's always been Lane, but he was able to hide out a little better at Ole Miss, and I think being at Ole Miss was good for him because you can be a little bit more yourself there. Where now at LSU you're just under a bigger microscope, and now everyone is kind of because the thing I think online, Nick, he became like everyone's favorite coach. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, look at Lane. Oh.
Just making jokes on Twitter.
Yeah. He's just saying, oh, he's so funny. We used to hear a lot. I hate how much I like Lane Kiffin now. Well, I think that's come full circle for a lot of people, and specifically in the league. So I'm interested to see just how all that plays out. And they're fascinating. And I talk about getting the house in order. Like, again, I think that's part of the issue right now is like we're seeing some like Mike Elko is willing to get up in a microphone and basically be like, "Why are you asking me?" He's basically like throwing the administration under the bus. Ask them. You all want to ask me? Ask them. And then Danny White's been outspoken again about Greg Byrne going against what something he said in the past. Drinkowitz and some other coaches have gotten up there basically saying that they feel like we feel a little bit frustrated. Hunter Yurachek, like we talked about, kind of blast them today for the scheduling. There's a lot of frustration right now. And there's a lot of people speaking out and sharing their grievances. Feels like Seinfeld.
Festivus. Right.
And feels like a nonstop Festivus.
And ultimately, like, there's not going to get a lot done. Like, in years past, there would be, we remember when Mitch Barnhart, Mark Stoops whipped the coalition together to keep the 8-game schedule instead of going to 9. The only thing of substance like it, and I may have missed it, aside from just, the fun little quips, which we'll get to, that we can kind of point and laugh at. I think the only thing of substance is they've eliminated SoCon Saturday. So the second to last weekend of the regular season, they're not doing FCS opponents anymore. I think some of that's about TV as much as anything, and probably a little bit. Like, I think you're going to get the second week of November or the first week of November to still try to build in some sort of bye. But there is you need to we're a what have you done for me lately society, and if you're trying to make your case for the playoff, you need that sort of what have you done for me lately on your resume, to where instead of just a rivalry week win, there might be something else in there to sort of beef up that resume. But that, as far as I can tell, that might be the only real change that actually happens, along with, Mark Pope not doing a basketball trip, which, for
the most part, yes. And usually, like, this event is pretty big, but it's always like kicking the can down the road. I mean, how many times do we do that with the conference, 8 versus 9? I feel like every year.
It was like 3 years,
Yeah. So
that's I think he's kicking the 24 teamer to the fall. He said tonight.
Yeah, right. So,
but
this event is good because I think you get obviously you get, like, it's the most Sankey talks, I think, to, like, in a real press conference, and it's like 3 days in a row.
Yeah,
and then all these coaches are down there, and you get to talk to them, like, directly, and you can get, because it's such, I think, a smaller setting, and they're coming out of these meetings, and sometimes these meetings are intense. You'll get them, maybe their hair's down a little bit more, or they've got not all the buttons are buttoned on the polo.
Yeah,
they're unbuttoned a little bit. Yeah,
in like media days, you're in this big ballroom with a bunch of it's more made for TV sort of PR, whereas this is like, all right, we actually need to speak our minds, and after speaking their minds, the coaches have to come in and kind of polish it up a little bit, which some of the comments weren't as polished up. We'll get to that in a minute. But first, I do need to remind you about our friends at BetMGM. Luckett, I hope you were on the Thunder last night, winners of Game 5. You can get on the Thunder in Game 6 or the Spurs, or you can bet the Knicks futures to win the NBA Finals. You can bet Stanley Cup. You can bet baseball. Whatever sporting event you got your eye on, you can open up that BetMGM app and get a little Skrilla on it. And when you open it up for the first time, use that bonus code ON3 when you sign up, and you're going to get up to $1,500 paid back on online bonus bets if you don't win. So you download the app, you put in bonus code ON3. Whatever you make your first bet on, if it doesn't win, you're getting back in bonus bets. You just got to use them within 7 days. It's pretty simple. And on top of all that, you're going to get 50% off a KSR Plus ON3 Plus subscription. So go ahead, use that bonus code ON3 when you sign up at BetMGM. Download the app, the best app out there. Get some action today. Summer, it might slow things down, but not all the way. You can always get some action on BetMGM. Just see BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. U.S. promotional offers are not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Got a gambling problem? Go 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP in Arizona, 1-800-327-5050 in Massachusetts, 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa, 1-800-981-0023 in Puerto Rico. That first bet offer is for new customers only, subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. All right, Luckett, one other thing we got to get to from spring meetings. Brent Venables should have rethought his, maybe take it off for your interview, but the picture of him walking around in a neck brace, that is definitely going to get used against him at some point this fall.
I had to send it to you almost immediately. I could not believe it. I hope he's okay. I do hope he's okay, but like, you've already seen it, Nick. Like, they are like, the memes are coming. Like, anytime Oklahoma loses, here it is right here for those who are watching.
Look at us. We figured out how to put pictures on here without peak.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Finally, technology is not something we cannot overcome here at KentuckySportsRadio.com. And look at Venables here on the YouTube. Yeah, I hope he's doing fine. I do hope. Like, so can he speak up in a meeting? Because he's an experienced dog in those meetings, I feel like. right? Like he's probably got some stuff to say. He's been in the league a couple years now, so this will be his third. Like this is his third spring meetings, so he's probably got stuff to say. Can you even like?
No.
You look, Greg, and everyone looks over, and it's Venables and just a big.
Or he just turns and he does the Batman. That hurt his whole body.
Poor guy.
With his head.
Poor guy.
He had a neck fusion with like 4 different vertebrae, which sounds awful. And Venables does look like a bad back guy. Like he looks like somebody who, took some hits and doesn't do well. But it's just the Texas
fans.
It's
from his playing days. It's from his play. It's like Stoops with his
ankle replacement.
Yeah. Just from been hurt from when he was younger. But yeah, I think that one is we're gonna see that one again for poor Brent that he had to go through that. Which gets me to in the meeting room. Like, what do you think Will Stein is like in these? Like first time, it's like a loaded one to go to. He
sat in between Kirby and Lane, which that you immediately just got to be like, all right.
So you think there's assigned seats? You think they assigned the seats?
Yes, yeah, and I think part of it too. And I've been on some committees, nothing like this, but there is sort of a you have some stuff you want to say, and then you get in the meeting room and you're like, you know what, should just let the other people talk. Because it's not only that he's the new guy in the room, like he's a new head coach, period. All these other
youngest one in the room, right?
Yeah, youngest one in the room. And all these other guys, like John Summerall has at least gone to meetings with Tulane, right, in the American Conference, or when he was in the SoCon at Troy. Like these other coaches kind of know how it goes. There is I just can imagine like the wheels spinning as he's trying to read the room and get a feel for what's going on. Because I'm sure between Kirby, Lane, and Drink, like those guys got to talk the most, right? I would.
Yeah, DeBoer seems like one who's probably barely talking.
Webby doesn't say anything.
Silverfield and Golish are probably in the same boat.
Right. I mean, there's just not There's a lot of new guys.
That strike me as one speaking out. Beamer, I have no idea how Beamer is in these meetings. Like you could tell me anything.
Because he's not well liked in the coaching community, period. So,
Sark, I bet Sark's pretty outspoken in these. Elko.
Yeah. Sark, you're right about that. Yeah.
And I think people know Elko's smart, so they probably listen. Clark Lee might be hardly ever speaks, but when he talks, people
they're just like waiting for him to shut up,
or really pay attention to what he's saying because everyone knows he's kind of smart. I
like that. Clark Lee's he's not backing down from the national championship talk.
Good for him, man.
Yeah, good on you, Clark Lee. 10 wins ain't good enough for Van.
He got roasted at that media days. We were at that one when that happened. I think that was 21 or 22, one of the two. But
you posted one of my favorite clips the other day, the Derek Mason. I'm built for this, and it's just so funny that like getting to 6 wins at Vanderbilt, and Derek Mason is like, nobody else can do this, and Clark Lee just is like, we're here to win a national championship, and I'm going to win 10 games, and damn it, he did it in a much more boring delivery than whatever Derek Mason gave us on the sideline. If you haven't seen that clip, Luckett tweeted it out. It's
right.
You're in your bag right now with your this is Luckett season with the countdown clips.
Love the countdown. But you remember, like, it's totally different how they're like marketing or presenting that program. Like Derek Mason, they came and gave the what was it, like aluminum business cards.
Well, and
that's when they started all the anchor stuff on the helmet,
right,
all that.
Yeah.
And then Lee got there and they got rid of all of that like right away.
And now they're showing off their basketball facility. Like, look at what we got here. We're fancy.
Yeah, and it's like they're not afraid to say like, yeah, we're Vanderbilt, we're smarter than you. Like that's kind of the impression I get from Lee when he talks. It's like, intellectual brutality. Like, here we come.
The next bit of business we need to get to it's certainly going to get talked about. I wish I pulled it up, but we did get the kickoff times released for the first 3 weeks of the SEC season. I thought they were going to give us the windows for the rest of them. We got the first 3 kickoff times. And I think you could have, if you made me bet on all of these, I would have really hammered week 2, and I would have really just bet big on the others because Youngstown State FCS opponent, that is going to be on the SEC Network Plus to open the season at 1 p.m. at Kroger Field. Week 2, it will be the 3rd straight year that Kentucky gets the first SEC game of the year, 3:30 kickoff ABC. Cats got embarrassed by South Carolina. There was a lot of hype going into that game, and they just got their you-know-what kicked. And then last year, Ole Miss, they actually came out and played great. Ty Bryant had a couple of picks, and that lead evaporated pretty quickly. They were able to get it to 7, but it was ultimately, at halftime, McDonough's making fun of Kentucky's offensive operation. So that did not go well. Hopefully Will Stein's foray into this will go much better. And then in week 3, we got a 3:30 kickoff against Texas A&M at A&M. It's going to be a scorcher, mid-afternoon, September. Heat index is upper 90s, I'm sure. But I think you could have banked on that one because of the game that's happening in Oxford Saturday night between Lane Kiffin and LSU going to Vaught Hemingway Stadium to play at Ole Miss. So Kentucky will not be conflicting with that game. What were your general thoughts on the initial kickoff times?
Me personally, I was hoping for A&M UK noon.
Just so we could have a little more time.
So we could get out of the press box just in time to go watch LSU Ole Miss at a local establishment, have a couple pops, and really
we'll get the second half. Yeah.
Really enjoy that game. But I think, Nick, the schedule, I think it's a big win for the fans. I really do. For specifically these first 3 games. 1 p.m., I know some people like, especially when it's hot that weekend, you'd rather have the night game, but 1 p.m. is not bad. It's Youngstown State. You get the paywall game out of the way, and those paywall games are at the weirdest times, right?
Yeah, and one is better than 2:45 or whatever. Yeah.
What were they last year? Wasn't it like 1:30? Didn't we play at 1:30 last year? Wasn't there a game at 1:30?
Yeah, I think there were some that were at 3:45 maybe or 4:45.
So I think that's good. Second week.
And the other part too, like it is like 1 p.m. It's a morning tailgate, but you do get an extra hour to tailgate, and then the big games are later in the day. So like you're not missing any. And you get the big Labor Day sites,
and you get the tune up where you can like the tailgate tune up. Okay, let's just go set up. Maybe not go all out on the tailgate, but set the stuff up and figure out what you need for the first big game. So you get the warm up, then you come out the second big game. It's Alabama. It's 3:30. That's a lot of people, I think, favorite kickoff time.
Yeah.
Specifically, like if you live in Louisville, you can still go and tailgate and have a good time. You got to get up early, but you're back, 9:00. You're not back at a crazy time. So
and if you're local, you can go out and celebrate a win afterwards. And
it's NFL first NFL Sunday, so you can do something for NFL Sunday too, and not just be totally exhausted.
Right.
From a Saturday night game, and it's a big moment, a big stage for Kentucky. That ABC card is stacked. Like you're going to be able to watch Cutter Boley and Arizona State play Kentucky's next weekend opponent, A&M, at noon on ABC in the parking lot. You're able to watch that game, and then you're going to go in there, and then you're going to leave, and you can turn on Texas, Ohio State in the parking lot, or when you get home, you can watch the second half of what will be one of the more, probably one of the, at the end of the day, 5 to 7, like if you're going to like games you have to see if you're a college football fan, that would be on the list. So you get to go home and watch that. But you get to, tailgate as well. You get the full tailgate experience. And then I think a lot of people, if you're any involved in college football at all as a fan, no matter where you fall in this, the spectrum, you're going to want to watch that LSU Ole Miss game. Right. And you get to see it. Like you get to watch Kentucky, and then you're right in that window to watch that. So the first 3 weeks, I think, really works out perfectly for Kentucky. And then you're getting all those 2 October night games because of the Keeneland.
Yeah, and some of the games later in the year, you're going to get the SEC Network 7:30 kickoff or 7:45, whatever they run it at now. So like the night games will come. I think specifically for that A&M game, if you're traveling, a lot of people just fly to Austin, stay there, and drive up. It's like an hour and a half maybe. So that's another like, all right, I don't have to get up at the crack of dawn to make the drive over and then drive back. Like that's convenient. It is going to be hotter than hell. That part kind of sucks. But Kyle Field's going to be rocking, and it probably rocks a little bit more at night, I would imagine. So yeah, I think it works out well. Selfishly, we do like a little bit of the earlier kickoffs, but getting that big platform for the Alabama game, that's going to be a very big moment. I've talked about that game already plenty, but like that's going to get a ton of talk going into the season, and rightfully so. But like we got to talk about Hunter Yurachek, which I did not save the statement, but
I'll find it. Let me find it. You just talk.
So Arkansas, Hunter Yurachek has regularly just screwed his golden pig. He schedules them some crazy out of conference games. One of them is going out to Utah, and now Hunter Yurachek is complaining about when he's playing Utah. You'll never believe this, like but usually when you play teams on the West Coast, they play later. And now he is mad that they are playing at 9:15 local time in Arkansas. Right? They're getting Pac-12 after dark. They're playing at 6 local time. Okay.
And it's at, I guess they're Big 12. So I guess this was a ESPN game at 10:15.
So they're getting a late night kickoff, and then the next week they've got to play Georgia at noon. He is whining because a game they're playing at night one weekend and then they're playing at noon the next weekend. Is that the silliest, whiniest? I mean, he wrote 4 paragraphs and sent it out in public whining about ESPN and SEC. This dude was on the chair, seemingly the face for ESPN and the SEC, and now he's complaining about it, saying it's a competitive disadvantage because his team is missing recovery. Brother, you scheduled Utah. Like, you didn't have to go play Utah. You didn't have to play Notre Dame last year. You could just play Bowling Green State. Like, this is on you, man. I don't know how Arkansas fans can. They have to be just sick of this guy. They have to. There's no other way to put it. They have to be sick of this guy.
Yeah, I think, you remember Oklahoma used to do this with Big Noon, right? And there's some little Ohio State where they've complained about it. That was kind of one of the reasons Oklahoma, I think, left. Wasn't the only reason, but it was part of that.
Well, and that happened multiple times a year. This is one time where they're going to have to go out west and they're going to get home late, and then the next week they got to play early.
Yeah, to your point, we'll play Utah.
Like that could be easily solved. Barrett Sally said, I've covered this sport for a long time, and I've heard a lot of whining over the years, and this is the whiniest thing I've ever heard. And I can't believe it. I mean, I know that John Neighbors and all those guys are hyped that Cal's got him in the Sweet 16 now, but I would just be so sick of Hunter Yurachek's you-know-what. I mean, this guy just looks like such a doofus on such a regular basis. Bad. We give Mitch Barnhart a hard time. Hunter Yurachek gives them such a bad rap.
I did poke fun at him, but he got a bad rap with the playoff stuff because he wasn't the
chair. He had to step in.
Mac Rhodes got fired at Baylor, and he kind of had to step in, and it was just a mess, just the whole year, and he had to kind of be the face for all that with what was going on with Miami and where they were ranked and some of the tomfoolery there. So, yeah, give him a break on that. But, yeah, that was their week 2 it's a home game against Georgia, I think, or do they go to Georgia?
Yeah.
I think it's a home game against Georgia.
It's at home. Yeah, they get
so
to play
looking
at
Owen Silverfield. That's a tough start for Silverfield. Goodness gracious,
they do this every year, man. I remember it was 21 in Atlanta with Sam Pittman. He actually outperformed that schedule that year. But like, didn't they play BYU? Why do they keep going out west to Utah to play teams? You don't need to do this, Arkansas. Silly. Absolutely silly. Good luck with that, Ryan Silverfield. Couple other quick hitters before we get out of here and Luckett hits the road to Mountaineer Land. Kentucky's weight room, it's done. They're reporting to campus on June 1st. That's when the first workouts will happen. I'm not going to pretend to tell you what all of this technology does for them, but sounds good to me. Looks nice.
Bigger, faster, stronger, I think is what the job is.
Yeah. We're getting bigger, getting faster, getting stronger. The other point since we last spoke, you didn't see us on YouTube last week. We just filled in for Peak on Roll Call. So you got a 2-hour podcast on your podcast feed where we hit on a little bit of everything. But Kentucky added a couple of running back commitments and Kelsey Gerald. And now I'd almost forgot Mason Ball's name. But I think the other surprise was Griff Galloway, who, his dad is an assistant at Clemson. His brother plays for Clemson. Kentucky went and got a commitment from him.
His dad coached Louisville for a time under Petrino.
Yeah, that name sounded familiar. Okay, so I'm not crazy. Galloway. Yeah.
He was the one who replaced the that Gunnar Brewer guy who was an absolute character.
With his flat-billed hats, old man.
Yeah, with his flat-billed hats. That was I know that was radio fodder for you at a time. But yeah, that was to me, Nick. I think they're in the market for like 2 different type of edges, and that's going to be something to keep in mind. They're going to want like your traditional 4-3 defensive end. Think McQueese, Humphrey, Grace, but they're also going to want more of kind of a stand-up, twitchy edge rusher. Think like Lorenzo Cowan, bodybuilder for this Kentucky team, just to keep it simple. So I think I still need to like dig into the tape. Galloway seems like more of kind of that traditional 4-3 defensive end. And so that's where he'll be, but they're still in the market for an edge. But that's important to remember, I think, because edge can be kind of thrown into a bucket.
Right.
It's thrown into a bucket, but it's 2 different players and skill sets they're looking for, but they're going to be classified as the same position. And so they're still looking at other guys there. Santana Harvey is a name to know, and there's a couple others expected to visit. Gerald, Ball, both got some speed as tailbacks. That's obviously something they're coveting, I think, at that position. And then who was the other one? Miles Brown was a big one. That was a guy they prioritized at cornerback.
I'm really high on Miles Brown. Just elite athletic traits across the board. You name it, he's done it. I think this kid has a very high ceiling. If I'm going to bet on a prospect to sort of outperform their rankings, and hell, he might not, because he might get a huge rankings bump elsewhere. Rivals is the only one that has him as a 4-star right now, but he's one I'm really high on. I don't anticipate any more commitments. Could be wrong. Until the official visit season starts, you're going to see some kids taking OVs this weekend, and Kentucky is taking the weekend off. And we've talked about this previously. They're kind of like, we're not going to fight everybody else to get everybody on first. And so that would be starting up next weekend with 3 straight weekends of, a dozen plus official visitors. That's where they're going to be taking some big swings on some players. I'm curious. I know Reed Gherkin moved up his decision. I'm curious if they're going to try to move up his OV to get him in right before he decides. I think it's also noteworthy too, like linebacker is a position where they kind of have multiple options as sort of their second guy to Ty Ashley, and they're all going in different weekends. So Aston Whiteside's up first from Texas, and then they've got Drew Williams from Georgia and J.J. Mayfield from Georgia as well. And North Carolina, sorry. But Miami is recruiting all of these guys. So Kentucky's going head-to-head with Miami. Of those 3, one's going to go to Miami, one's going to Kentucky. I think it'd be safe to say. But like Georgia's in the mix for a couple of them. Texas A&M's in for Whiteside as well. So they're fishing in some deep waters there. Maybe you throw Sean Fox in. I know he's a little bit of that hybrid edge type that Notre Dame is really in the mix for. But
he goes to Clemson this week, and I think
that's one to watch.
Yeah, let's just say that. Yeah.
Okay. And then I think, but generally speaking, we're about to be in big swing season for some of these players. That's kind of it. I don't want to say the floor is set on the recruiting class, but like you got your kind of like foundational pieces. Now let's try to go get some big heavy hitters.
I wrote about that today at KSR Plus.
Okay.
Go check it out. It was basically like Kentucky's sitting here with 5 4-star recruits. The school record is 10 in the internet era, 2022. Mm-hmm. So they're in striking distance of that, but they're going to need a big summer to get there, in my opinion. Now things can change, rankings change, all of that good stuff. Mm-hmm. But there's 9 top 300 prospects, Nick, that are scheduled to visit Kentucky in June. And so it's a rundown of those 9. I think they lead for a few of them. I think they're trailing a lot in a couple of them. And then I think there's a couple that are toss-ups. Like Mayfield, to me, is a toss-up right now.
Yeah. He feels like a classic recruit where every visit he goes, they kind of become the leader right afterwards. So
right. And then, he's got the big announcement scheduled in middle July. I think it's right. Yeah. It's the day before or the day of that we leave for media days, I believe, is when he's announcing. So we'll see. That's a big one for them, but they've got some other options. And then there's some other guys just out there, like Tyler Fryman, obviously. It's a name we've been tracking for a little bit here. The receiver from up there in Beechwood. So
they got a new coach.
There's still some big fish out there that they're trying to reel in, even with the kind of 19 commits they have right now. It feels like a class that could definitely push 30. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they reach that big 3-0 number at come December.
You gonna be covering a baseball game next weekend, Luckett?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I think it's possible, but I don't know. Do you think flying me out to LA? Do you make it up there?
I
don't think that's going to happen.
There's because even if they get past that Wake Forest team, that's got great pitching. Like you're going to face an ace the next day, and then that's when you get deeper.
Well, the problem is Wake Forest. Like this game on Friday got very good odds to be kind of a 3-2 pitcher's duel.
Yeah.
Between Jackson Jelking and Chris Lavonis, 2 of the best pitchers in college baseball this year, 2 of the best starting pitchers. It's going to be a fun matchup. The problem is if you have to play Wake again, their lineup could, I think, really take it to Kentucky without Jelkin on the mound. So can you score enough runs? And then West Virginia, kind of an interesting 1 seed. Offensively, they're not great, but their pitching and defense is spectacular. So, and they've got depth. So they're my bet to win this just because they've got the pitching and defense, but I don't necessarily think they're built to like blow teams out. So I definitely think there's a chance you can hang around and steal a game from them late if you can get just enough pitching there. So for Kentucky, I think it's going to be very important to get off to a hot start, stay in the winner's bracket. They have to go to loser's bracket early. I think they're going to be in some trouble because they just don't have the pitching depth. We've seen that play out all year, but excited to get to Morgantown. First time. Louisville people tell me it's hell on earth, so I'm interested to see if those stories hold true.
I was probably 16 when we played a basketball tournament there, and we ventured out of the hotel one night because it was near campus, and we just walked into the basketball arena and kind of messed around there. We were definitely not supposed to be there, so that's all I remember about that trip. My friend may have dated a West Virginia athlete for a little bit, and he did not like Morgantown. So I hope you create some memorable moments with the Batcats this weekend in Morgantown. Make sure y'all are following Luckett in all of the ways that you can follow Luckett as the Batcats take on the Morgantown Regional.
You don't realize how close it is to Pittsburgh.
Oh yeah, well that's
see it on the map.
I asked Tom Hart how he gets there because he's Mr. Flies everywhere. You fly to Pittsburgh and then drive an hour down. So
yeah, I think it's like 50 miles from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, but backyard brawl, man, no love lost. A little bit farther drive though through the mountains. So safe travels this weekend, Luckett. Thanks for hanging out and talking a little football with us. But we got to get out of here. As always, we appreciate y'all for walking in for 11 personnel. Go Cats and go Kroger.